Hello, good afternoon. Today we will report about the planning specific for hospitality and tourism property. Hello, I am Ranel Anthony Ligotum, the first reporter. Introduction. The main aim of any business organization is to earn profit. This is not only depends on the working of an organization but also on its presentation, more so in the hotel and hospitality sector. The prime motive or objective of any hotel property is to attract more and more clients and guests and make their visit a memorable experience. It thus becomes a priority to give special consideration to their accommodation and needs while showcasing the best of the local traditions and culture. Did you know architecture is the art of science of designing and constructing buildings? A good piece of architecture is one which succeeds in satisfying its intended uses, that it should be technically sound as well as aesthetically appealing. We'll talk about the first is the physical plant. Did you know the term physical plant refers to the ground building structure, building systems, interior finishes, that is paint, wallpaper, and so forth, and furniture, fixtures, and equipment of lodging facility? Many of these components of the physical plant are highly visible, such as grounds, the exterior building, structure, and the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. The need for facility planning. The needs for good facility plannings are plant facilities influence the cost of operating and therefore profits. So we have the planning allows facilities to comply with laws and or regulations. Facilities involve high capital cost expenditures. Facilities are fixed investments not readily convertible to money or resale. Facilities are long-term commitments with protected periods of financial return. Facilities planning, design, and construction require long lead times. Sound plans for implementation can avoid disruptions in production and discontinuities for shipping or delivery. Operations often produce detrimental waste that affect the entire communities. The safety, convenience, appearance, and comfort of industrial facilities. Next, we have the role of facilities in a hotel building. Facilities provide an appealing visual environment, such as the ambience, experience, and comfort of the guest. All lodging properties, including hotels, resorts, theme parks, water attractions, casinos. The facilities themselves are an attraction, engages, and entertains the guest. Facilities not only improve level of guest satisfaction, but also help to retain business. Facilities of a 5-star hotel includes well-equipped front office, 24 hours running hot and cold water supply, a la carte restaurants, coffee shop, banquets, and conference rooms, swimming pool, gym, spa, 24 hours in-room dining, well-furnished accommodation with attached bathroom, and so on. Next, we have the costs associated with hospitality facilities. So these are the costs that is being associated to the different hospitality facilities. So costs associated with the hospitality facilities varies from type of hotel as well as location of the hotel. Total cost of a hotel project includes the following. We have the cost of land, costs associated with land development, building construction cost, cost of landscaping, cost of building systems such as heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, lighting system, building transportation system, water supply system, safety and security system, waste and garbage management system, energy management system, rain water harvesting system, property management system, and so on. Cost of furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Cost of interiors, costs associated in legal aspects, fee of hotel consultants, engineers, interiors, and legal experts. So we need to remember that these costs will only vary on the hotel area or the type of hotel and the location of the hotel. Next, we have the site planning and design. Did you know site planning includes the arrangement of buildings, roadways, utilities, landscape elements, topography, water features, and vegetation to achieve the desired site? In urban planning, site planning is done by city planners to develop a clear plan design of what the city planners want for a community. So if the hotel is located in the province area, then the city planners will do the work where they will ensure what the best hotel that is suited for that community. The visitor site planning process is best carried out by a team made up of landscape architect, a biologist or ecologist, an environmental engineer who should all have some training in environmental impact, evaluation, and tourism infrastructure, and also a local resident who is familiar with the site and or environmental conditions in the area. So these are the group of city planners who will do the all the plans for that area, especially if it is located on the province. Next is the first step in preparing a visitor site plan is to survey and analyze to propose the location for the recommended infrastructure. At this point, the following questions should be asked and answered in at least a provisional manner. Is the site appropriate for developing tourism activities according to the general management plan? Can development impacts on the site be minimized? What inputs like energy, materials, labor, products are necessary and available? Can waste outputs like solid waste, sewage effluent, exhaust emissions be dealt with at acceptable environmental cost? What are the potential indicators that should be considered in the future impact monitoring plan for this site? Next, we have the infrastructure setting considerations. So when determining exactly where buildings and infrastructure should be located, planners should take into consideration the following. In the specific considerations, we have the capacity. As difficult as it may be to determine, every site has a limit for development and human activity. A detailed site analyst should determine this limit based on the sensitivity of the site's resources, the ability of the land to regenerate, and the mitigating factors incorporated into the site design. Densities seating of facilities should carefully weigh the relative merits of concentration versus dispersal of visitors' use. Natural landscape values may be easier to maintain if facilities are carefully dispersed. Conversely, concentration of structures leaves more undisturbed natural areas. Next, we have the wildlife. Avoid the disruption of movement, nesting patterns, and feeding and roosting sites of threatened, endangered, or focal local wildlife species by sensitive setting of development and by limits set on construction, activity, and facility operation. Allow opportunities for visitors to be aware of indigenous wildlife, observe but not disturb. Also, be aware that in some ecosystems, particularly on islands, tourism activities can lead to the introduction to invasive species. So, wildlife is very important and should be maintained if ever in that area there will be a hotel to be built. For me, if wildlife are well preserved on that area where the hotel will be built, it could be additional points for the view or for some activities to do like wildlife seeing on that area. Next is the views. Views are critical and reinforce a visitor's experience. Site design should maximize views of natural features and minimize views of visitors and support facilities. To do so, avoid high structures. Buildings should remain below tree horizon line and be invisible from air and on ground arrival as much as possible. Colors used on the exteriors should blend, not contrast with the natural environment. So with the view aspect, the buildings should not be high enough to contrast to the height of the trees. So it should be leveled, and the color of the exterior design should be blend, not contrast with the natural environment. Next is natural hazards. Development should be located with consideration of natural hazards such as precipitous slopes, dangerous animals and plants, and hazardous water areas. Energy and utilities. Conventional energy and utility systems are often minimal or non-existent in potential ecotourism sites. Siting should consider possible connections to off-site utilities or more likely spatial needs for on-site utilities. Next is the ventilation. Infrastructure should be placed to take advantage of natural ventilation possibilities when consistent with aesthetic and other considerations. Organic waste. Considered environmentally appropriate technologies and facilities for the treatment of organic waste such as composting, septic tank, and biogas tanks. So if there will be a hotel establishment or near the shore, these establishments should have a compost pit or septic tanks for the different waste in order it will not be put into the oceans. Next is the on-site utilities. Remember to plan for any necessary facilities such as facility for trash storage until removal from the site, solar panels or other appropriate energy sources, maintenance buildings, and sites for treatment of gray water. Next, we have the water. Water resources should be located where other activities will not impact them, and in such manner that water use will not significantly alter existing water courses. Water lines should be located to minimize disruption of earth and adjacent to trails wherever possible. Next, we have the visitor circulation systems. Infrastructures elements such as lodging and trails should be located to optimize visitor circulation. Minimum distances, minimum disturbance to natural features is easily located by visitors, etc. Next, we have the conflicting uses. If the site provides for different types of visitor use, for example, ecolodge and campground, make sure these uses are sufficiently separated geographically so that they do not conflict. Safety, visual quality, noise, and odor are all factors that need to be considered when citing support services and facilities. Impact monitoring. Specific indicators and standards should be established to monitor the impact of the site's use and ecotourism location. Next, we have the landscaping design. In the landscaping design, the best approach is simply to leave as much of the original vegetation in place as possible. Removal of vegetation will increase erosion of valuable topsoil, cause of sedimentation and pollution to local waters, and raise cost of the project. Further, large trees can take decades to grow and should therefore be considered an asset of the shade and beauty they provide to the landscape. Natural vegetation is an essential aspect of the visitor experience. So in landscaping design, vegetation should be remained on what they are, because it is important that vegetation will be in that area. It can cause soil erosion if they will be moved, and the trees If there are trees that are present on that area, it should be preserved, and the beauty of that trees will improve the view of the hotel establishment. So that's it, my report about the equipment, about the landscaping design. Thank you.
Hello, I am Zara Gilgidaguplo and I am the second reporter. I will tackle about the hotel site location. Hotel site selection by resort developers usually involves simply finding a spot along the shoreline where guests can have a quick, easy access to the beach and the scenic view of the sea. As you can see in the picture, these are some examples of hotels near the coastal area. However, available infrastructure, sewage treatment, water supplies, and etc. might not be sufficient to support the site. So there are some guidelines for a good site selection. First is avoid sensitive environments such as mangroves, rainforests, or steep slopes, and be particularly aware of beach erosion, which will be much more tackled in the next few slides. So the second is to seek local knowledge on the environmental, cultural, and social importance of the site. It is very necessary to establish good friendship among the locals and to avoid misconceptions about the area. So the third is to potential user conflict should be avoided, like what I said, such as with local residents who traditionally use that area for fishing and etc. because that might be their livelihood. So concentrate hotel development nodes rather than a thin ribbon spread along the entire coast. The fifth is to assess proximity to basic infrastructure, such as electricity, roads, water, solid and liquid waste disposal. Next is to ensure that the local residents still have the easy access to and along the beach. So this overall summarizes that to ensure appropriate use of setbacks, a prescribed distance away from the shoreline to protect structures from the wave action, protect shorelines from the erosion, and ensure free access for the local residents to and along the beach. So once the general site has been selected, a detailed site plan should be drawn showing the exact location of all facilities like the reception areas, guest rooms, swimming pool, parking areas, etc. because this will help with planning for the setbacks and buffer zones to ensure free access to the beach and protect the sensitive areas that will avoid from the further incidents or natural disasters that might happen. So next is clustering to centralize infrastructure and preserve open spaces, just like what happened in Boracay. So the third is to aesthetically pleasing design. Fourth is to sustainable use of local products and materials. And the last is in a resort or tourist area, the land between development and the beach can be enhanced to provide attractions to the tourist. So the next topic is the coastal construction and shoreline erosion. So what is a coastal construction? So this includes a construction of buildings directly on beaches or shorelines, the dredging and filling of coastal waters or directions of the structures, constructions of transport facilities, or constructions of structures such as navigation channels and turning basin, docks, seawalls, jetties, groins, breakwater, replenishes beaches, causeway, and roads. And to note that any construction along the coastline must be carefully assessed for its possible effects on sediments. Pay special attention to any structure that may interrupt the normal movement of sand along the beach. This will inevitably cause buildup of sand at upcurrent side and the erosion of sand on the downcurrent side, which is very disturbing. So these are the guidelines for a major construction at the shoreline. Field or land reclamation. This will cause permanent loss of marine habitat. Excavation and dredging will permanently alter habitats and displace the native ecosystems such as mangroves, seagrasses, coral reefs, and beaches. Third is the any restriction of the circulation of the coastal water by coastal construction, including changes in the freshwater outflows, can degrade the water quality in the coastal ecosystem. These explosive use during construction can fracture nearby reefs and injure. Dredging can release or generate large amounts of sediments that can be transported well beyond the immediate vicinity of the construction activity and bury or smother the bottom. These are very bad if this cannot be guided when constructing hotels near the shoreline. So that will be my part to be continued by the next reporter.
Hello everyone, I am Generalime Rodriguez, the third reporter. So I will be discussing the strategic facilities planning issues in hospitality and tourism industry. So first, issues is the number, location, and sizes of warehouse and or distribution centers. Second, the centralized and decentralized storage supplies, the raw materials, work in process, and the finished goods for single and multi-building sites. Third, acquisition of existing facilities versus the design of model factories and distribution centers of the future. So, acquisition of existing facilities, it is the representation for the warranties, terms, conditions, deliveries, closing procedures, and indemnities relating, and there shall be addressed in the political hospitality purchase in contract. So next, fourth, flexibility required because of the market and technological uncertainties. So, yeah, it enables business to obtain sustainable competitive advantage by making business become more proactive. So, fifth, level of vertical integration, including the subcontract versus manufacture decision. So, it refers to the process of entering a contractual agreement with an outside person on a company to perform a certain amount of work. Sixth, to control system including materials control and equipment control. 7. Movement of materials between buildings and between sites. Last, 8. Design to cost goals for facilities and interface between storage and manufacturing. Next is the layout design. So, facility layout means planning for the location of all machines, utilities, employee workstation, customer service areas, material storage areas, aisles, restrooms, lunchrooms, internal walls, offices, and computer rooms for flow patterns of materials and other round into within buildings. Second, location of these various areas impact through the system. Thus, the layout can affect productivity and cost generated by the system. Next, layout. Alternatives are limited by the amount and type of space required for the various areas. The areas are the amount of type of space available and the operation strategies. Next slide is the facility layout problem. So there are three layout problem in the facilities. The first is to determine the location for a new machine. So it's easy to accessibility to transport and generally get of the scale for the production. Moreover, it is to decrease shipping time. Then second, develop a new layout for an existing production. So it's significant factor in the timely execution of orders and ideal layout eliminates such as causes of delays of shortage of space, long distance movements of materials, spoiled work, and it has contributes to the speedy execution of the orders. Third, develop a layout for a new production plant. So, it determines the long run efficiency of the operations. Next, there are five layout problems that may arise due. So, first is the changes in the design of a product in addition or deletion of a product. So, it means it is the reduces the profitability of the firm and result in draining of resources. This process of product deletion requires the company to evaluate its entire product mix and analyze where can the resource be used to generate more reliable revenue streams. Second, change in the demand of a product. So, yeah, it is important because together they determine the prices and the quantities of the most goods and services available in a given market. Third, changes in the design of the process. So it is important to consider process in the overall management of an organization so that they can have a new process skills and develop that permit the next project to take more and swiftly efficiency. So fourth, addition or deletion of a process. So yeah, it is the process through which a product or an inter-product line is removed from the product portfolio, either through last replace of equipment. So it is ensuring employee for their safety, and the most important reason is to replace all the equipment. Next slide. This is the strategic importance in the facility layout. So there are five properly layout enables to the facility layout, the strategic importance. So first is the higher utilization of space, equipment, and people. So it is to improve the flow of information. Then next, improve flow of information, materials, or people. And third, improve employee moral and safer working conditions. So, in other words, its safer working environments benefit from fewer accidents, which result in fewer occupational health costs, better employee retention and satisfaction, less employee downtime, and less retaining time. Fourth, improve customer client interaction. Yeah, we all know that each customer interaction not only provides insights to the establishment into the experience of the service of a particular customer, but also it adds another data to point out the customer's basis satisfaction as a whole. Last is flexibility. It can help to ensure a smooth operation that is virtually free of holds up and inconveniences. That's all for my report. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle Daiday, and I am one of the reporters of the importance of area-specific planning in hospitality and tourism. So first, why is planning is important? Planning is important because it helps us to identify our goals clearly. It makes us decide clearly and concretely what we need to do or to have the effect on society that we want. Second is this is the importance of planning in hospitality. So a great number of your guests still spend many painstaking hours going through website after website, reviewing after reviewing, pictures after pictures to plan their trips. Each stop is planned to the minute. Each attractions or visit is planned in the conjunction with those planned stops. On the other hand, some of your guests only plan what rental car company they want to use and flight they want to take. So the point here is, if you are the general manager of your hotel, nganong dili man ni kay mo plano? Do you have a plan in place if a staff member doesn't show? Do you have a plan in place if your hotel is overbooked? Do you have a plan in place if your pool is goes down? So maybe you have gotten lucky and not experienced the repercussion of not planning. So here are the advantages of planning in the hospitality industry. So first is stress reduction. Planning is prevention. Stress can make you and your employee less efficient, cranky, and cause serious burnout. So if magplano jud ka ahead of time or days, weeks, or months, mawala jud nimong stress if magplan na kadaan o na kay hunahon sunod adlaw or the next day or the next month. So second is productivity. When you do not have a plan, your plans do not get done. It's not simple. Having a plan in place for your day as well as your employees' day will ensure that your day is productive. So maora gihapon ni maora niyang effect. So if nagplanong ka, first is mawala imong stress. Second is productivity. So if magplano gihapon ka ahead of time, days, weeks, and months, imong adlaw productive kayo. Wala na kay hasol-hasolon, wala kay huna-huna, ang dili na magkapuliki ang imuhang adlaw. And lastly is better sleep. We all know that the hotel industry can use hiccup on our sleep patterns, from no calls, no show, to a pipe bursting on Saturday evening. All these variables, things cannot be prevented. Do you really want to be staring at the ceiling on Wednesday at night? Because on top of the revenue management and employees reviews you needs to get done this week. So ikaw, if for example, kuan karon Friday nya ikaugma na Saturday, so busy man kay na ang kuan ang hotels kay magkapuno man jud na, daghan mag mo staycation mo vacation ana. So as a kuan staff, wala pa gay Saturday or wala pa gay Friday, gaplano na kana og unsay mong buhaton ahead ana, kay dili mo sad ko gaganahan nga ikauli niyo sa inyo ha magproblema gihapon ka bisag wala na ka sa inyong trabaho nga imong giproblemahan, imbis nga ang magproblema ka sa inyong balay na lang, magproblema gyapon ka sa inyong trabaho. So the next one is the importance of planning in tourism. So tourism should be an integral part of any destination's tourism development plan in order to achieve the best result and satisfy all stakeholders. Tourism planning is the key to maintain sustainable tourism, and while some destinations to do this very well, others fail to recognize the importance of effective tourism development planning. On the other hand, tourism planning is so important and recommend some literature for further reading on this topic. So this information on tourism planning should be helpful to a number of tourism stakeholders including business entrepreneurs, government bodies, and tourism workers. So nganong na hisgot man ni ang business and kaning tulo, which is ang business entrepreneurs, government bodies, and tourism workers. So kaning tulo is connected din ni sila. So first is ang business entrepreneurs is if daghan kay tourist sa inyong cities, ang one jud nga paliton ana sa mga tourist is first ang delicacies og souvenir nya kana mga pagkaon dira sa mga locals nga tindahan. So if kusog ang inyong mga business dira, so dako jud kag mahatag nga taksa o sa government. So dili na masud ang government bodies. So if makahatag mo og kanang tax og sakto nga tax sa government, which is makapalambo pa sila og makapa-provide pa sila og nindot nga tourist attractions, mga infrastructures, mga bisagon sa panadira nga maka-attract sa mga tourist og maka-gain og more profit. And lastly is tourism workers. So if daghan mo tourist sa inyong lugar or city, so daghan jud na og kinahanglan nga workers or staff, daghang mga job offers, daghan og opportunity sa mga taga didto. So the next one is What is tourism planning? Tourism development refers to the growth and maintenance of the tourism industry in a given locality. And of course, tourism planning is very important part of this. On basic level, tourism development can be defined as creating strategies and plans to increase, develop, encourage tourism for destinations. The fundamental reason behind planning and implementing strategies for developing of the tourism sectors is primarily to make money and to subsequently increase the GDP or gross domestic product of the country or this area. So lastly, the benefits of the tourism development. So what are the benefits? So these are the it increase income and job from tourist spending. It helps prevent culture and natural heritage from tourists. The third one is it increased understanding of other cultures. Lastly, it builds new facilities such as sewage for whole community or new roads. That's it for my part. Thank you.
So good day everyone. So hello, my name is Jerilyn Hermosa. So I'll be the fifth and last reporter to report for today. So hotel strategic is a must. Strategic planning provides the roadmap for your hotel to move forward toward the achievement of the goal and objective set, and ultimately the mission and vision that you should have of develop. To be effective, strategic planning must encompass all levels of your hotel with the involvement from as many as possible and practicable. In addition, coordination of plans between departments, division, and hotel as whole is the best practice in achieving success. How it defined. Strategic planning is the process of developing a plan, guideline, or roadmap for your hotel which is based on its mission, vision, value stated goals, and objectives, which indicates the specific strategic and tactics or action that will be taken to achieve these goals. The importance of planning. So, the importance of planning of at strategic planning at all level is twofold. First, it puts a stake in the ground in terms of the hotel is hoping to achieve, and second, it serves as guide for employees to direct their activities, resources like time and money towards goals and objectives that have been considered and adopted by the organization as a whole. The challenges to strategic planning. Perhaps the greatest challenge of strategic planning is the actual execution of plans. So often ideas are put down on paper yet delivered are not achieved. Implementing best practices. Hotels can increase their ability to execute their strategic plan by following a number of best practices. This includes identifying an individual who will be responsible for ensuring the plan's implementation, conducting regular updates on plan progress, and clearly identifying accountability for each element of the plan's action. The measure of success. The measure of plan's success ultimately reflect accomplishment of the goals and objective identified in the plan. Importantly, these goals and objectives must be meaningful and measurable. A goal of increased sales, for instance, is not specific enough to determine whether has been effectively met. And that would be all for my topic. Thank you and God bless.